Mayor Cooley, the census, the recent special census we had, indicated that we have 1,396 fewer residents in the city. And what is your opinion of the census?
Well, of course, the man sent here by the Census Bureau that had charge of taking the enumeration was very disturbed about this, but he and I met last week. He said that he felt that if there had been one area in particular that they might not have received a good count. And he checked it pretty thoroughly, and in analyzing it, of course, naturally, I'm disappointed. I thought that due to the growth of Ball State and that we would have gained at least 5 or 10,000 people. But when you stop and consider that in 1960, the crop of World War II children, most of them were still at home. Now, almost 10 years later, they have gone, and the ones that have established their homes in this area have either moved to outside the city, Mount Pleasant Township, Monroe, Hamilton, so forth. And I think this further points up the need to, if the central city is to survive at all and face the problems that we are facing today, that we're going to have to annex and reach out.
How is this going to affect the funds we get from the state?
We're requesting that the special census not be certified, and this will not affect the funds that we receive from the state until the regular census is taken in 1970 and finally certified in 1971. Now, of course, I would assume that we would be in the same relative position with every other city in Indiana, and therefore wouldn't suffer any loss, but except in cases where the other cities had annexed, and possibly we weren't successful in annexing here.
The areas under consideration for annexation have how many residents?
Well, of course, I hesitate to make a guess. I was using Rand McNally figures and the increased enrollment at Ball State and forecasting that we had 5 or 10,000 extra people above 1960. And I think if you would have talked to anyone in town, they would have agreed with this analysis. But I would hesitate to say, I would assume in Center Township alone there's probably 15 to 20,000.
And our census went from, in 1960, 68,603, to the present count of 67,207, a loss of 1,396.
Right, 1,400 people roughly.